Yes, I'm pursuing my master's from Adamus University, master's in journalism. I'll be the student coordinator for the session. So this is the second day of International Conference of Media and Communication conducted by School of Media and Communication, Adamus University. It's the seventh session of day two conference. The topic for this session is digital media, which will be led by session chair Dr. Amrish Saxena and co-session chair Archana Kumari. Due to some unfortunate reason, she will not be able to attend the session. And the moderator for the session will be Dr. Natasha Elangbam. Dr. Natasha Elangbam is a senior assistant professor in the Department of Mass Communication, Manipur University. She's a recipient of interest or communication theory, film, new media, and radio. Ma'am, I would really like you to take over the session from here. Um, uh, you can carry on, ma'am.
Thank you, Dogeshwari, for that
Yes.
introduction. And I welcome everyone to the seventh session on this International Conference of Media and Communication. The themes are very varied and they're very topical, and we have about 8 papers in our session this time, and they range from security, then impact of media, legal impact, radio, green communication, marketing, violence in the media. So I think we have the right person to chair this session. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our session chair, Dr. Amrish Saxena. He's among the pioneers of modern media education in India and has contributed immensely in the field. He's an accomplished media communicator, educationist, researcher, journalist, broadcaster, theater artist, filmmaker, film critic, political analyst, and I think it goes on and on, sir. Like there's too much to say about you, so I'll just limit it. Dr. Saxena has, I think, has a long inning from media industry to the media academics. He is working with Noida-based Delhi Metropolitan Education as professor and dean, DME Media School. He's the director, DME Studios and Production, director of international collaborations, director coordinator, DME IQAC, convener DME and NAC committee, and chief editor of Media Space, DME Journal of Communication. So Dr. Saxena has worked in all the media platforms. So print, radio, TV, digital media. So I think we have a very luminous personality amidst us, and I think it will be a wonderful session. So can I give the thing to Dr. Saxena to say a few things before we start the session?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, everybody, those who are there in this session and making their presentations. It's a matter of pleasure that Adamas University, this Media and Communication Department, they have come out with this international conference, two-day international conference. And right from the beginning, since the time this department has started, in one way or the other, I have been associated with it. And even today, I'm part of the BOS and part of the DRC. So as far as the PhD students and all research scholars is concerned, I have been having their presentation, listening to their presentations off and on whenever the DRC meetings are scheduled. And I'm hopeful that a lot of good work will be coming from the department, from the school, from these sessions, these technical sessions. I'm looking forward to listening to papers which are going to be presented. But one clarification I needed. Now, like as you told, there are 8 papers. So, is there a list that has been sent to me of all these 8 papers and all that? I am not sure. So if the student coordinator or you can confirm, because the evaluation list is also has also been emailed to me. And what exactly is the track, I mean, of this session, track number, so that I can fill up the required things in the evaluation form so that
So
that
this is track
process.
7.
This track 7, okay. So in track 7, just a minute, let me look at. Yeah. So in this track 7, whether the details of the presenters are there?
Sir, I received a mail with the topic and the names of the presenters, and one was added today. There's only 7 presenters in the ones that we got, but today I think I got a mail from Dr. Sharmila Kayal adding another one. So we have 8 papers.
Okay, so I will request every presenter to tell us precisely the topic and the name so that my task becomes easy. I don't miss out anything while the presentations are on. Right?
Thank you, sir.
And then you can start the session.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
So I think every presenter has 15 minutes, but out of that, let's present for 10 minutes and then 5 minutes, let's save it for observation and question and suggestion from the chair or any other participant. So can I call upon the first presenter?
And who will keep a check on the time? You will keep a check on the time and all, so that everything is finished within the stipulated time.
Yes, sir. I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So let me call upon Dr. K.S. Kritika, if she's here. Are you here, Kritika? Shall we move on to the next one? I don't think I don't see her name. Okay, may I call upon Sakshi Verma and Dr. Paramveer Singh?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Let's start off with that. The topic, according to what I received, is assessment of media's impact on people's emotional and psychological well-being in India during COVID-19.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
we're starting.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are. So you have
Okay.
10 minutes. And
Yeah.
Let's say 5 minutes.
Okay. First of all, thanks to all chairperson who giving me such opportunity to present my PPT presentation on this topic. So my topic is totally based on the assessment of a media impact on a people emotional and psychological well-being in India during the time of COVID-19. My studies primarily focused on the effects that media haven't made on journal paper during the time of a pandemic at that crucial time period. So first, I'll start with my introduction. We all know that the importance of a media. Media can easily connect people from anywhere at any time. The media becomes more needful during the time of a pandemic, especially in the time of emergency. At the time, that time we relied on media so much. People are much more affected by the media. So media influenced people perception and affected their mental balance also. As we already depended on media, so media can easily affect our mind and our thoughts and our perception at that time. People mindset can be influenced by the media in both emotional and psychological ways. During that time, COVID-19 already changed the whole scenario in worldwide. So media directly and indirectly influenced the people mindset and their thoughts towards the world. The research gap of my study is all about the number of the people who were affected negatively by the media at that time. So media effects, I categorize media effects in a 4 category. First off is emotional effect, second is psychological effect, third is the media change public opinion, and fourth is a mental balance disbalance. Emotional effect in this way that at that time we all are kept in our house in the time of a lockdown, so we are emotionally so weak at that time. So media connect people emotionally with each other at that time and affects their emotion as well. And psychological effects means that lots of information are spreading at that time, so we are totally confused at that time. And in the same time, the media also changed the public opinion towards the world and the situation at that time. Mental balance disbalance, so we already so feared about that disease. So at that time, media also affect our mental balance, and we are totally upset and feeling so much scared at that time. So in this way, media also affect mental balance at that time. I gone through many research paper, but four major research paper I discuss here. First is Prerna Sharma, who worked on the psychological effects which is made by the media on that time. And second is, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, please
Hello.
continue.
Yeah. And the second researchers in 2016 in his paper talk about the emotions of emotion which is impacted by the media. Media can advise audience at that time that what we should see and what should we not. With this, media also affect emotionally to the in the community, and through media, we get the idea how to react emotionally to various circumstances, especially in the time of crisis when the consumption of information reached at their high level. So that time, media affected us very. Uh, Media affected us. Okay. Then third one is a Wang Xi with his colleagues work on the facts of media through their study. He conducted a study. This study is conducted in the month of January and February in the year of 2020. With the participants, he collected these participants from the country of China, and approx 1,210 participants are joined this study. And as per this studies, 54% of participants rated the psychological effects of the media in the COVID-19 outbreak as a moderate or a severe. And then 29% of participants reported moderate to severe anxiety symptoms, and whereas 17% of participants reported moderate to severe depressive symptoms. So another study which is given by the Taylor in the year of 2019, he worked on the psychological variables of media. It is well, as per him, it is well recognized that these psychological variables have a significant impact on how people adhere to public health interventions like vaccination and deal with the risk of infection and the ensuring losses. At that time, media is not worked as in negatively, it is also worked as in positively, because that media taught us that how much vaccination is important for us. So in this way, Taylor explained his study. So my whole study is used three theories of media. First is a media dependency theory, second is a agenda setting theory, and third is a simulation theory of a media. As per the media dependency theory, we are totally relied and dependent on media for our daily needs. So in the time of pandemic, we all know that we are totally relied on a media for the such a tiny information. And second theory is all about the agenda setting theory. Setting theory is depicted that media already set one agenda. As per that agenda, media worked on that. So media in the time of emergency and even in such crucial time set one agenda. For example, like in the time of pandemic, media have one agenda that provide much more information about the disease. So that so fulfilling that agenda by the media at that time. Then third theory is all about the simulation theory of media, which is depicted that we behave as per our experiences and observation. So what we had seen in the time of pandemic through the media, we act as per that. So in this way, this theory is fulfill the demand. So here is my methodology. Before explaining my methodology, I just want to clear my objective of this study. The main objective of this study is to find out the media impact on people and how people get affected by the media emotionally and psychologically, and to evaluate how media adversely affected people's mindset in their decision making process as well. Through various modes of media, I don't I think some of them are very regional channel. They are shown negatively news related to vaccination. So in this way, people was so much afraid to take in a vaccination in that time period. That was the initial phase of vaccination. So in this way, media also affect the decision making process of people. In my methodology, I explain the hypothesis. For my paper, I used two hypotheses. One is null hypothesis and second is alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is all about the people get easily affected by the media emotionally and psychologically. And my alternative hypothesis is all about the impact of mass media was whole reliant on public consumption. It means null hypothesis is all about the there's a no role of a people. Media is directly affect the people without anything else. But the alternative hypothesis is all about affects the impact of a media is totally depend on the people consumptions. So
Excuse me, Sakshi, you have 2 minutes, so can you wrap up, like, the
okay,
main points
okay,
and the
okay, okay, okay,
conclusion?
okay.
Yeah.
Sure, ma'am, sure, ma'am. So for conducting my research, I just used survey research method by using a questionnaire. With this questionnaire is circulated within the 50 participants. An online survey created using a Google form was sent out the people in order to conduct this study. There were 21 questions, and these questions are categorized in a 5 category. First category is advice for the questionnaire to help the respondent comprehend the precautions of the inquiry, explain the goal and needs of the investigation to them. And second category is all about the basic information of the respondent. And third is a question related to the consumption of media. Fourth is that section is all about the media. And fifth is his last question is all about the overview of a media health reporting and this open-ended question. The procedure was very simple. I used I sent my questionnaire through the WhatsApp groups, Google's, and via the emails and with the using of various social networking sites. Here is the result and discussion of my topic. As I told that I already circulated my questionnaire to 50 people. The age group of that 15 years to approx 60 years old people are there in that study. So this is a pie chart which shows the result. This pie chart illustrates how the various pieces of information presented about the pandemic on the various media platform affected the public state of mind. This demonstrates how the media has significant impact on their behavior. The data illustrated how the media distorted people perception and attitudes at that time. That second pie chart is all about the how much people consume the media at that time. Some of them using less than half an hour, some of them using more than half an hour, more than 1 hour, more than 2 hours, in this way. Then second pie chart is all about the reporting done by the media during the corona period made an adverse impact of your health and perspective. I ask the people about is the media is really impact their health. So in this most of the majority of people say yes, media is adversely impacted on their health. Then third pie chart is all about this media have any media impact psychological and emotionally to the people. So approx 81% people said that yes, media impacted on their emotional and psychological behavior. So in this
Please
way,
conclude.
yeah, sure, ma'am. So in this way, we can say that COVID-19 has already changed the whole scenario, and was media was worked in two ways. Like coin has two faces. One is a head and one is a tail. In this way, media has a two faces, positively and negatively. So in this is depend on us that which one we will choose. So more than 81.4% of the poll said that the media had a significant impact on them. If we carefully analyze the data from this study, we will also discover that many people experience despair and even emotional breakdown as a result of excessive media consumption and delusional aspects. Finally, it is true that media has an influence on people's thoughts and feelings. This case study supports both the validity of a null hypothesis and study goals. So here's a null hypothesis proved that there's no role of people consumption, because at that time we are already relied on media for all our needs. So we are just media totally affected our mindset at that time. Thank you. That's it from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sakshi. May I propose Dr. Saxena to kindly observe, say a few things about her presentation?
So, I mean, your data collection was only through the survey.
Yes, sir.
Okay, why did you decide this, and why did you not think of using any other data collection technique?
Because I think that through this questionnaire form, people can easily, I given them many much more time to think about this matter. So I just easily circulated this my Google form to the people and tell them take your time and responded very well. So
So,
that
so what exactly was the focus as you decided about your study? Was it qualitative or quantitative?
it is a mixed method
Hmm.
approx.
No, but then your topic says that you were trying to find out the impact of media on people's emotional and psychological well-being,
Yeah.
which is more towards the qualitative aspect. But then the questions that you framed, they were more tilted towards getting the quantitative data.
Yes, sir.
Why this kind of contradiction is there?
Because I gone through many research paper. I had seen many in many research paper the same procedure related to this topic had been used by the various researchers. So I thought that this will be appropriate manner to conduct this study. So that's why.
Give me example of one question through which you try to find out the impact on emotions.
I guess there's one question related to that their consumption rate. Not yeah. I don't know, sir.
No, but you just look at the question. So,
Yeah.
which question is fitting into this area wherein you are trying to find the impact on their emotional aspect? This is
No,
part
it's
of
all about it's all about their consumption rate and their is this in general view they ask of they affected or not. Yes, but there's a not specifically question I designed for this.
is it somewhere related to your PhD or what?
Somewhere because my PhD is all dependent on the health communication overall by the reporters in the time of a pandemic.
Hmm. So my simple question to you is it possible for any researcher while collecting the data to ask the respondent something wherein the respondent is telling that this is my emotional level or this is an impact on my emotion? Is it possible to collect this kind of data by asking a question to a respondent?
No, is it not possible? Because people can't be differentiate between their emotional and psychological ways. So it is can't be.
So there is a mismatch between the topic that you had chosen for your study and the methodology that you decided for your study.
Yeah, I will go on through this one more, so
Yeah.
I can clearly understand. Thank you for the feedback, sir. Valuable feedback.
Okay, it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you, Dr. Saxena. Let's go on to the next presenter. Do we have Rajat Abhinav here? I guess not. Then we'll go on to the next one. Dr. Rupa Kumari, are you here? Do we have Pankaj Garg, Gitanjali Kalia, or Rupinder Kaur? Then Dr. Mahendra Kumar Padi? No?
Hello, hi. Mr. Upendra Kumar Pari will join soon.
Okay.
He's physically present here. He's probably gone somewhere. I'll just let you know immediately. Fine.
Okay.
Just wait
Maybe
for-
we should. Can we go on to another one?
Yeah. The next participant, please. Yeah.
So, Miduna Manoha, Rashi Mehta, Dr. Ajit Gagare? No? How about Mahira Imam?
I'm just messaging to in the WhatsApp for joining.
Mahira Imam,
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
are you ready to present?
Yeah.
Okay, so your topic is an exploratory study of cyber violence against women students through social media platform.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I think the platform is yours to present.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
So 8 minutes to present, no, 10 minutes and then 5 minutes save for observation, right?
Yeah, yeah. Is my PPT is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'll keep my video off for this. Then, is it fine if I'm keeping video off, or is it?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, I'll start my presentation with the statement has given by journalist Avananda Hess. She said that until domestic violence became a national policy priority, abuse was dismissed as a love and quarrel. Today's harmless jokes and undue burdens are tomorrow's civil rights agenda. Why I am quoting this statement is that we know that cyber space and then social media spaces is having gender hatred and misogyny online, and we are seeing that it is becoming very continuous that women and girls are facing the kind of comment and gender hatred, which is like we whenever we face any kind of comment like oh why you should not use this space, like any kind of gender hatred, what we say in a comment that okay, it's just a comment, no, leave it, it's just a comment, ignore, block the person. So whenever these kind of violences is happening on cyber spaces, we have only one tendency to say that just block the person, or just ignore the message, or just cut it down for some of the time, some for some period. And for that I want to quote this statement that we know that when in 1960s and 70s, when domestic violence was happening, at that time they used to say that this violence is happening because it's a husband wife matter, it's a personal matter, and that debate, feminist debate, come that personal is political. So now the harms and jokes which is happening on the social media platforms is, we are sure that it's becoming a movement, and in future it's going to become a civil right agenda, because the digital rights are, we are having digital rights are human rights in using in 2016. It has been declared that using internet is a human right. So you cannot cut down 50% of the participation, which is women participation. So with that statement, I want to start my presentation. So the methodology which I have used for my study is the collect like 100 of the questionnaire I like circulated, and it was a Google questionnaire, and it is that this study is for my MPhil study. So 100 questionnaire I circulated through Google questionnaire. It was a primary study, and the data has been collected, and it is a mixed data collection, qualitative and quantitative. So objective of the study, to understand the current scenario of cyber violence against women in higher education, the purpose of usage pattern of social media platforms, and to study the awareness and the effect of cyber violence against women and students, to find out women students, to find out the knowledge on legal provisions and reporting system, to suggest preventive strategies on cyber violence. I am not going to detailed about the origin of cyber violence and how, but I want to clarify here that my focus is on social media, social networking side, the social media platforms. I'm not talking about how the violence is happening through email and all other sites are there, but my focus is on social media platforms. When here, basically with this presentation, I will be talking about the data and report. So when we talk about in 2015, one of the important data and report came, that was the UN Broadband Commission. In that report, it has been said that cyber violence against women and girls is increasing on alarming rate, and they, in that report, they have said that it's a wake up call for all the country to work in that direction and to do research in this field, in cyber violence against, like why cyber violence against women and girls are increasing, what's the reason behind it. And in that they said that it's a global problem. And in that report, in the first page of that report, they have said that it's a wake up call for all the countries. And they have said that it has estimated that 73% of women have already been subjected to online violence, age between 18 to 24. So we through with this we understand that the cyber spaces and the social media platform which are being used is more to less is young generation who is young. So certain types of cyber violence against women and girls are trolling, cyber stalking, morphing, clone ID hacking, revenge porn, spamming, defamation, obscene material. But it's not that limited one. Every day we are seeing the different kind of cyber violence. Every day is increasing. At the moment, technology is not static. So with the upgradation and upgradation, more and more things are coming. So here I want to show that what is my finding of this study. In the here I have divided with the theme wise, like age and qualifications. Majority of the participant of my study was like 57.3%. They were student of like they were aged between 18 to 20, and they were graduate. I mean, they are pursuing graduation. Most of the asking about whether you are using digital spaces and not, most of them have said that yes, they are using. Two three things I want to clarify in the presentation, and after that I will end this presentation. That in that I have asked that on which social media platform you feel safe. Most of the students said that they feel safe on WhatsApp. So when we talk about why they feel safe on WhatsApp, so it is like there is a study which shows that I want to quote one of the study, which is UK based journalist. He did study in Pakistan, and the paper was called Digital Parda. So in that study he said that women are forced, I mean indirectly and directly forced to use the spaces which is not so social. Like when we talk about WhatsApp is the platform where we are getting information and where we are having the context means it becomes the personal connection only, like friends and family, those whom you know. But when it comes to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, it's it's the open world where there are lots of people whom you know, and where the ample of the people whom you don't know, where you get the chance to connect. And from the I'm sitting in Tamil Nadu, I can connect with the people of sitting in America. But this connection is WhatsApp is not giving, because I'm not having that contact number of that person. So in that he said that we are having, either women are using spaces, but women are using that spaces in a very constrained manner. And he called that term as a digital parda. Like women are using, but they are having a parda, like they are having a segregation between which platform you can use, which platform you cannot use. And he asked that why you are forced, I mean why you are asked to use these spaces. Most of the women and girls said that my family, my brother, my father don't allow me to use the other social media spaces. They say that it's not safe for me. There are other people. And he same question he asked, like to the men also, like which platform you frequently use. They said that they use Facebook and Instagram. So we can see the disparity, and we can see the segregation, and we can understand that how on social media spaces and how through social media and digital spaces also we are binary. I mean, we are having the gender inequality in that spaces. So in that mindset, I asked also in my questionnaire that on which platform you feel safe. And most of the women said that they feel safe on social media, this WhatsApp. And with that cyber violence experience, I asked that whether you have faced any kind of cyber violence, and do you understand the what is cyber violence. Most of this have said that like 65 are aware of cyber violence. And asking about the type of violence, which kind of violence they face, 24.1% said that they have faced harassment and threat through cyberspaces. And 18% said that they forced to sexual activity. And 17% has said that they faced humiliation and embarrassment through social media platforms. About the perpetrator, and this is the one of the important things whenever we talk about violence, gender-based violence, we talk about perpetrator also. That do you know that perpetrators in child abuse, all there is a NCRB report, they said that approx 94 or 90 percent of the perpetrators are the target knowns, like they are your neighbor, they are the they are the person who is noticing you like every day. Then after some time they attack to you. So they are the known ones, like not personally too much, but they are the known ones. And in this
Excuse me,
study also,
Mehra, can you conclude in like 1 or 2 minutes,
yeah,
please?
yeah, sure. So, in that, I have asked that whether you have known that person, or most of the women said that yes, they were knowing that they were their ex-boyfriends and ex-partners and the friend whose proposal they have ignored, and these kind, and the classmate who was bullying them, and the person who asked someone to do that. So they were knowing directly, indirectly, they were knowing about that thing. And asking about what kind of effect we face, psychological trauma, 24% have said that they face psychological trauma. And asking about what you did about after facing that violence, 27.5% have said that they curb their opinion to avoid misbehavior on social media platform. My one of the important like core argument is that that we are like, as a women, we are not supposed to see, it's the same thing. Like if rape is happening, you're saying because of your dress, rape has happened to you. The same thing is happening on the social media platforms also. If something is happening to you, it means like because you put it that argument, because you said that about, because you posted that photo, because of that it's happening. It's not happening because I put it that photo. It's happening because mindset is that action taken against 44.5%, they have reduced their personal data. And about whether you reported or not, they said they have not reported anything about it. Either their parents asked them to ignore and block and leave the social media platform. Thing. And the conclusion. In conclusion, I want to say that as we are in 21st century, I want to quote UN Women she said that as we are in 21st century, to be disconnected in this period from the social media platform, from the digital spaces, is going to be like disruption of your right, like your right to work, your right to meet people, right to learn, and right to speak, because lots of information is happening on social media, and this like everything is connected now. We are in digital age, we are in information age. We cannot cut down ourselves, and we cannot be afraid and the what is going to happen if I say something about, if I put it my opinion. So I mean, so is that way forward for this, we need to recognize that violence which is happening on social media platforms is serious gender-based violence, and we need to do more research in that, and more research in that, and we need to have a digital literacy, not device literacy, but digital content literacy. We need to have to make a culture and society where no space for victim blaming. And as we are always having a victim blaming everywhere, so in this I want to say like we have to have a like sensitive society where we can bear and can say anything which we say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahira Imam. Dr. Saxena, would you like to say a few things?
One thing is not understood. One query. Where you conducted this survey? Which place?
Sir, it was a Google questionnaire. So it's not like only to one place. It's like I can distributed to the who was doing the graduation and post graduation students from anywhere they can fill in India only, from the anywhere they can fill. So my the area was not specific, but the graduation and post graduation students.
So on one hand, you said in one of the questions that there are 60% your respondents use smartphones, whereas social media usage is about 97%. So why this mismatch is there?
Sir, 60% said that they use digital devices, and 90% said that they use social media platform, because the ask question was that whether you use digital spaces. Digital spaces like, sorry, digital smartphone. It's not only related to social media, no.
Hmm.
Whether I am having smartphone, but I am not connected to social media platforms. But most of them said that they use social media platforms.
Okay. Another thing which was not understandable in the conclusion, you have written 2 points, and those 2 points have no connection with whatever data you collected and with whatever data analysis you have done. Your conclusion is completely unrelated what you have done in your study. Can you clarify this?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Whatever study you conduct, like what happens in research, we decide a topic, collect the data, decide about the data collection technique, we analyze that data, and we derive conclusion from our data analysis.
Yeah,
But you have not derived your conclusion from your data analysis. Conclusion, you have written something else which is not what you have studied. Why
yeah,
this?
yes, sir. Yeah, sir, I got that. Yes, that's mistake I have done because I have quoted UN Women where I have done. I mean, I should have concluded from my study. Yeah, I in future I will do that.
Are you a PhD student?
So I just completed my MPhil. Now I'm going to enroll for PhD.
But it's a serious flaw as far as understanding research is concerned. There's a bias on your part, and whatever the problem exactly is this, that if a researcher, after conducting the study, writes whatever he or she thinks about on a certain issue or on a certain topic, then what for you are conducting your study? You are not writing an article. So you are doing a research work. So this is very strange. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Saxena. Thank you, Mera Imam. I'm just getting a message that there's a topic which is not included in our list. Dugeshwari, can you please confirm if this is part of our session? It's Dr. Seena Johnson.
Yes, yes. Her presentation will be included here.
Okay.
Yeah, kindly include that. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so Dr. Seena Johnson will be presenting an article on archetypes, stereotypes, and the female actress, the transformation of female heroines in Malayalam movies.
Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon to session. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, let me share the screen. Ma'am, is it visible, ma'am, my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. So kindly present for 10 minutes and then 5 minutes for
Okay, okay, ma'am, I will keep the time. So, good afternoon, one and all. The title of my presentation is Archetypes, Stereotypes, and the Female Actress, and how this transformation of female heroines have been happened in Malayalam movies. So, you all know that cinema is the most accepted form of entertainment in the entire world. Okay, but when you look into the history of Malayalam movies, which is always praised for the portrayal of more realistic themes, the journey of female actors was that much smooth. The first heroine, okay, when she came into the profession, you know, the first acting in the movie was not that much of a glamorous profession. Initially talking, now it is a glamorous thing, but initially when she started acting, she has to walk a lot and daily 5 rupees were paid for her work. So that is how she started her journey. But what happened when the first movie, it is called as Vigata Kumaran in 1928, when she acted, she was actually belonging to a Dalit community. Okay, so here what happened, the members of a Nair community, which is considered as a higher caste, were actually outraged and offended when they saw a Dalit woman playing a Nair character in a film. Okay, and this prominent personality is was not ready to attend the premiere of this movie due to her presence in the venue. So in one scene, when they saw the hero is kissing this heroine PK Rosie's hair, they went all crazy and they started to burn the screen and they started to manhandle PK Rosie's parents and they started to burn her home also. So the first heroine has to run away from the state because she has chosen to play the character of an upper caste woman in the first movie. So here you can, in the side, you can see the photograph of the first heroine. But recently, the Google has honored her by doing a doodle on her in her 120th birthday as a tribute to P.K. Rossi. So in this research paper, actually, I was going to investigate how this evolution of female leads from P.K. Rossi to the present female characters is there, how the transformation is happening, and how the present heroines are actually breaking this stereotype, and how they are curving a place in the industry. So when we look into the history of the Malayalam cinema or any other cinema, we can say from the earlier period, that is from 1913 onwards, we had a studio culture. In studio, film productions were happening in the studio. But during that period, most of the movies, Malayalam movies, have female representation. That means female was having a strong character. Okay. But when the studio-based production have been turned into a star-oriented production, the prominence of the heroine started to decline. Okay, and from 1980s onwards, this commodity that females were started to see as a commodity, and there was an increasing patriarchal and neo-conservative approach. Okay, whenever any discussions happens in Malayalam cinema, rarely we can see that actress' contribution to the movie has been discussed. Okay, so actually the rise of the star system has sidelined the works of the prominent writers, directors, and most of the scripts have been made only focusing on the star. So going into the methodology, qualitative technique has been applied, and semi-structured in-depth interview were conducted with 23 renowned personalities who is working in the industry, like directors, scriptwriters, actors, film journalists, and all. And the samples have been selected through purposive sampling technique. And all the interview transcripts have been analyzed using thematic analysis. So thematic analysis has been used for the data analysis, and whatever the data collected, and after analysis we have made into several themes, sub-themes, main theme and sub-themes. Okay, like what was the condition prevailed in the industry during the studio era, what were the factors that actually helped the female lead actors to sustain for a long time. When you look into the history of the female lead actors, they were there in the industry for a long time. Okay, so what was the factors that is actually backing them? What was the condition of the industry after 1990 when this male-oriented macho images were there in the industry? And what is the current scenario? So why is such a study is, when we look into the history of movies, when we compare the Indian movies or in India, any regional industry movie to Bollywood or thing, the required number of articles or books which is preserved or digitalized is very rare. When if I want to do a research on American cinema, Britain cinema, I can get from 1920 onwards, I can get all the histories, what is happening in the studio era, everything is available. But when it comes to, especially to regional film industry, this digitalized information is very, very rare. So I thought that, okay, we should know what is actually happened in that place, why the career of the females, they are able to portray a strong characters during that time. So after this thematic analysis, the main thing was, as I discussed, it was prior to transformation, that is during the studio era, what was the situation. So the sub-theme you can see, industry framework, attitude of male actors to female actors. So industry framework, we can see, especially in Bengali and Malayalam movies, most of the literature, they are found of literary literature. So most of the movies were the adaptation of this literary works and all. So in that, females were given more space. So automatically in movies also they were given more space and less masculine heroes were there. Okay, but nowadays we can see macho figures who are not considered about the image of a female. And when it comes to the attitude of male actors to the female artists, that time male actors was not concerned about their maleness. They are not concerned about what their co-actor's role is there. They don't know, they are not bothered about sharing the screen space with the female artist. Okay, but now we can see the heroes, mostly in the Malayalam industry or in any other industry, we can see they are very insecure about their images, and they don't want to give much space for their female co-actors. And another sub-theme is more movies plus more hits, because that time the theater collection was the only way to get the revenue. So the directors and producers were very much concerned about the movie, and they know the pulse of the audience, and they made movies which is very family oriented. But after 1990s, market oriented or commercially based movies were there. Coming to the role of director and producer, all the industry, during the studio era, all the industry was under the control of the director and producer. No stardom, no stars were there, and they will look after everything. Okay, no actors can challenge their decision. And during the studio period, everybody was highly paid. I mean, everybody was getting salary. So they are not bothered about whether the previous movies was a failure or not. All the people who was associated with the movie were getting a good remuneration also. Coming to the post-1990s, what happened after the post-90s is, the main theme is the conditions after the post-90s, that is star control. The industry was under the control of the stars. The stars started to give box office hits, and also the director and producer are in a situation to listen to the stars, and stars will decide who will be the heroine for the movie. So the entire thing came under the star control. The same thing, what was the actor status during that time? As earlier, male actors were actually a supportive to female-oriented characters. Here, the male stars started to write script for there. So automatically, what happened? The female-centered themes and females have the value the females was getting, the industry also started to decrease. Coming to remuneration disparity, we all know that remuneration disparity existed in all the eras, on all the time. But during the studio era, there were female actors who were paid more, or the directors will wait for their call sheet because they know their value, and they know the audience are coming to the theater to watch their favorite female actors on the screen. So the female actors, there were actors who were given more money than the male counterpart. Okay, so but now when we see, it is rarely we can see such a phenomena. Gender stereotype, of course, every time the gender stereotype was there, but after 90s, what happened? Only we can see the male actors were doing all the experimentation with the characters and all, and a few female actors were given the opportunity and have shown the courage to do that. So automatically what happens, if a movie is getting hit in the box office because of the presence of a male star, so the female actors associated with the movie is also entering into the star criteria. Then the present scenario, the change in portrayal, how they have changed that. So here, the present scenario, the female characters are portrayed as very enthusiastic, and they have shown the courage to work and all, and without any restriction, they started to talk about their sexuality, started to talk about their body. They are vulnerable, they are satirical, and they started to question their male counterparts. And talking about the language, shift in tone, the dialogues which is used in the movie started to change. The females have been given very courageous dialogue. She started to say it in a very bold manner. So unlike portraying her as a glamorous object of desire, they started to portray the ordinary. So they started to portray the ordinary woman beyond the hero, going beyond the hero and going beyond the home and all. So coming to the conclusion part, the present industry, presently we have started to show the heroines who are capable of carrying themselves the whole movie. And earlier, as I said, they were waited for female stars to get their call sheet and all. And now the audience mindset have also changed. They started to concern more about the content and the essence. So audience are also on the path of transfiguration. And most of the female-oriented movies which was presented or which was in regional languages started to remake in other languages also. So what is happening is that woman-oriented movies or female-oriented movies is not a new concept actually. It was there in the studio era itself. It was there actually, but in between we have lost that, and in between instead of this female-oriented, the male-oriented movies or this action movies started to rule the industry. But now again we have come back and the audience started to prefer female-centric movies, and this is actually a good thing. which shows how the heroines have started to demand for their characters and how they started to carry a movie on their own shoulders and show this challenges, and they started to show or challenge the patriarchal authority. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was perfect timing.
Thank you. I was rushing to finish it.
May I ask Dr. Saxena to offer his observation?
Yeah, so my question to you is, though the study is really good, but then one thing I couldn't understand. You said that once upon a time, when this studio system existed, then the actresses were in the mainstream, they were even getting paid, and more female-centric films were there. Then you said that in between that situation changed, and now there is a comeback to the situation which earlier used to be there. Now, which periods exactly you are talking about in terms of the years, if you can tell us?
Yes, sir. Actually, the journey started from 1928. Actually, the first movie came. That's what I was telling about the P.K. Rosie's flight and all. From 1960s or 70s up to that, the studio era was running. So after 80s and 90s, post 90s, this macho image or the action-oriented movies started to come. Then only in the recent time, that after 2000 only, we can see a sudden change in the treatment of the movies, and so much of female-oriented scripts started to come in the industry.
So, on what basis you can say this? I mean, whether you have used certain references to spell out these periods, or this is something which you have discovered on your own?
No, sir. Actually, references are there. As I said, I have done a interview on 23 personalities who are actually working in the film industry, and it's actually a big study. 35 sub-themes and 8 main themes were actually discovered from that. So all the reference has been taken from based on the interviews actually. Hello.
I think we have just lost Dr. Saxena. I'm sure. Dr. Saxena, are you there?
Yes, sir is there. Maybe there's some connection issue. Saxena, sir, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Amrish, sir, are you there?
Online.
Amrish, sir, are you there? Dear participant, can you mute?
So we sit together.
Can you please be mute?
No.
Dear participant, can you? Okay, just a minute. I'm just calling Saxena sir once again so that he can able to connect it.
I think Dr.
Yes, sir,
Saxena is
exactly.
back. So
Yeah.
please continue.
So is it part of your PhD project or what? Hello?
Dr. Johnson, are you there? I think we've lost her.
Okay, fine. Thank you. No problem. We can move on to another.
So moving on to our next presentation. I think we have Pankaj Garg, Gitanjali Kalia, and Rupinder Kaur here.
Yes, ma'am. We all three are here.
So the topic is Web Pages of Private FM Radio Stations, a study on its interface. So from Malayalam movies to radio. Please.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Okay. Is it visible, my PPT?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay.
10
Good
minutes.
afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Dr. Pankaj Garg. Okay, right. Associate Professor, Chitkara School of Mass Communication, Chitkara University, Punjab. And my co-author, Dr. Gitanjali Kalia and Ms. Rupinder Kaur is also present here. And my topic is Web Pages of Private FM Radio Stations, a study on its interface. So, the World Wide Web has been described as a new mass media with traditional media reach, content diversity, and technological expertise. Nowadays, commercial radio stations in India have created their websites for a variety of purposes, ranging from music selection to polls, online comments, photo sharing, and video sharing. Director General Mark Thompson of BBC noted that we want to develop the web and other digital platforms so that audience can find, play, and share our content. The major objective of this website of the radio station pages, interactivity and listener interaction are the bigger and more immediate than ever before. And that's need to be studied in terms of 5 Cs: content, creativity, credibility, clarity, and consistency of the home pages of the radio station. So this complete paper is around of these 5 Cs: content, creativity, credibility, clarity, and consistency of the home pages of the radio station, especially private radio station. This study explored the ways to fill the home pages with different interactive windows like podcast, video content, program archive, literary content, details about radio jockeys, which gives the audience a new experience and is far more than just providing the listeners with audio only. Radio is now available on computers, smartphone, portable player, and other devices, thanks to the emergence of numerous digital platforms. The smooth transition of radio to the new media environment has been revealed with the inclusion of audio, text, and video content, and thereby introducing a fresh new model for the medium. So the problem statement of this study is radio station believes that having a website helps to build brand awareness and loyalty. Almost every radio station serves particular users group and thus has a focus on a specific type of program. One of the most major new concerns for radio is the rise of social media. By having a social media presence, radio is now seeking for new ways to stay current and relevant. Interactive content, online archives, podcast, and more is added to radio stations' website. So this paper analyzed the private FM radio stations' activity on their web pages and explores what kind of content is being provided by them to the visitors, how they are using their websites as an add-on advantage to the on-air content. So the objectives of this study is to analyze the creative aspect used on the home pages of the private FM radio stations. Second is to study the information or data being posted on the home pages of the private FM radio stations pages. And third is to understand the level of interactivity on the home pages of the private FM radio stations. So a research methodology that we used in this study is content analysis, and we have taken 9 private FM radio stations website, and these 9 radio stations website we have been selected by the RAM measurement, radio audience measurement, and these 9 radio stations are highly popular in their area. So for examining the content of the selected radio stations website, we did qualitative research and used content analysis to explore, compare, and features the results. These are the 9 private radio stations which we have selected for the study: Radio Mirchi, Red FM, Radio City, My FM, Zabardast Hit 95 FM, Radio 1, Radio Nasha, Radio Orange, and Fever FM. So now the data analysis. Private radio stations home pages data on the basis of the content. So RJ information, yes, almost all radio stations have the information about their RJs, except one radio station, that is Radio 1. They do not have the information about their RJs. Radio stations are doing quiz, contest, and polls to increasing the interactivity with their audience. Apart from the traditional radio medium, yes, all radio stations are doing. Red FM, Radio City, and Radio 1 is doing. Fever FM is doing, and My FM and Zabardast Hit FM is doing, but it is not available in their the basic front page. It is available on the another icon. So latest information and news. Yes, Radio City is doing, Jabardast Hit FM is doing, and Fever FM is doing. They are providing the latest information and news on their websites. Program information, which radio stations are broadcasting their program on their frequency radio station. Yes, all radio stations have the information about their program, except one radio station, that is Radio 1. Podcast is another a very good feature which is available on the almost all the radio stations website pages, except two radio stations, Zabardast Hit FM and Radio 1. They do not have the podcast feature available on their website pages. If we talk about the videos, only two radio stations, Radio 1 and Radio Nasha and Radio Orange, three radio stations, they do not have the options for the video. Rest of the radio stations have the features of video, and they have also posted some videos regarding the activities, regarding the interviews, which RJs are taking the interviews of the celebrities, and these videos are available on their website. So audience can see the live feed, or audience can see the recorded interviews as well, apart from listening. And web radio, yes, that is an important feature, but only Radio Mirchi and Radio City have the options available about the web radios. Radio Mirchi and Radio City have the feature, have the radio stations, many radio stations which are available on the online, but another radio stations do not have this feature of web radio. So table number 3, private FM radio station homepages data on the basis of credibility. Credibility, yes, the option is about us is available, but Red FM and Zabardast Hit FM do not have the option about us. Another radio station have the option about us, so people can get the know about the radio stations, which is the organization, and their another radio station, how many radio stations they have in many cities. Contact information, only one radio station, Radio Mirchi, do not have the option about the contact information. Rest of the radio station have the information about the contact. CSR, common social responsibility activities, if we talk about the CSR activity. So Red FM and Radio Orange, only two radio stations have put some post about the CSR activities, but another 7 radio stations do not have. Advertise with us, yes, almost out of 9, 8 radio stations have the option available, advertise with us. Only one radio station, Radio Orange, do not have this option, advertise with us. Table number 4, if we talk about the private radio station homepages data on the basis of consistency. So every radio station's website page have the option to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Instagram, so that listener can join their pages and listener can follow their page and comment on their posted. So if we talk about the Facebook, MyFM and Radio 1 do not have the option about the Facebook. Rest of the radio station have the feature available of the Facebook, so people can join their Facebook page. Twitter, again, Radio 1 and Radio Nasha do not have the feature about the Twitter. If we talk about the YouTube pages of the radio station, so yes, they have the link available on their website, so people can directly subscribe their YouTube channel. But again, Radio 1 and Radio Nasha do not have this option available. Google Plus option is only available on the Radio Mirchi website page. If we talk about the Instagram, so 4 radio stations, Radio Mirchi, Zabardast Hit, Radio 1 and Radio Nasha do not have the option about the Instagram. App Store, yes, listeners can or audience can download their app, Radio Mirchi, Red FM, and all the radio stations have their app also available. So they can download the app from their app store, and app store option is available on the Red FM and Radio City. LinkedIn, only one radio station, Fever FM, is the option available to join their LinkedIn page. Rest of the radio station do not have this option about their LinkedIn page available on the website pages. So last is private radio station homepages data on the placed in the footnote. If we talk about the footnote, so all radio stations websites, some have some exclusive content and some have some common content. If we talk about the common content, so they have the common content like advertise with us, privacy policy, terms and condition, and follow us. And if we talk about the exclusive content, so Radio Mirchi has music countdown show, Red FM has career option, Radio City Grievance, and Radio City also running a school, Radio City School of Broadcasting. So they have the information available on their website page. MyFM has the career option. Zabardast Hit FM has the query form. Radio One, Radio Nasha, and Radio Orange all have some exclusive content available on their footnote. So now the conclusion is people can listen or people can view this radio station or anytime, anywhere. There is no foundation of the reach. We know the private FM radio has a limited reach to 70 to 100 kilometers. But if we talk about the web pages content, which is available on the web pages, so these content is beyond the boundaries. So people can listen this content anytime and anywhere. Second is listeners only speculate on how RJs appeared in the today. Nothing is left to the imagination. In the early days, listeners imagine their RJs, but now it is available on their RJs Facebook page or social media pages or radio stations pages or website also. So now RJ can directly see their listener can see their RJs. Third is radio stations are increasingly interactivity with their target audience by using this homepage. Most of the radio with the station social media pages include a hyperlink to it on their homepages. Fourth is contact us information about events and about the RJs were the three main types of content on station homepages. Now visitors can also post comment on radio stations that have a website. The internet can extend the program's life by allow people to listen to it on demand after it airs for as long as they like. And the last, on the internet, radio stations are clearly not just heard, but also read and viewed. Thank you and stay tuned.
Thank you, sir, for that. And, do we have any other presenters, Dugeshwari?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any other presenters online, or can we wrap up?
Right now we have Dr. Sheena Johnson. Due to some network issue, her connection got failed, and now we can have a question answer session with her. If it is
That's fine. I mean, leave it. I mean, I already put some questions. Rest can be ignored. Regarding this presentation, Dr. Pankaj Kar, Geetanjali Kala, and Rupinder Kaur. Yeah, so I wanted to know about certain things about this presentation. What exactly was the objective of this study?
The purpose and the real objective is to know what is the difference between the traditional radio and their home pages content. This main objective is to identify the content which is available on the traditional radio, which they are broadcasting via their frequency, and what is the content they are providing on the websites.
And what you wanted to know, I mean, this is fine that you wanted to know what exactly is the content on their web pages. But then you wanted to know this with what purpose?
Sir, one we can say is the academic purpose, as we teach our students to radio subject. So we can know that what is the difference regarding their content. So we can prepare our students accordingly. So one purpose is the academic implication of this study. Major implication of this study is that. So we can see the difference between the content of the traditional radio and website.
But then what I could understand, and these radio stations you picked up from where, which city?
Sir, city, actually their website is not related. Yes, we can say, sir, North India city, North India.
No,
like Radio Orange.
Private FM radio stations are city specific.
Yes, correct, sir. Correct.
Yeah. So their websites are not city specific, is it so?
Yes, sir. Correctly. Absolutely correct, sir.
So this means, for instance, if there is a radio station, FM radio station, which is running its broadcast in 10 different cities, so the information about all those RJs which are working in 10 cities, all that information is there on their website?
Yes, sir. They have the options. You can select the cities as well, sir. If you go Nagpur, Raipur, so you can select the cities as well. We can select the cities as well.
Yeah. And regarding the credibility, you covered credibility, consistency and all. Can you explain this credibility aspect?
Sir, credibility, give me 1 second, sir.
Dr. Garg, could you put on your video or is it a problem?
Pardon, ma'am, please.
Could you put on your video so that...
Okay, okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks.
Sir, in the credibility, we took about us contact information and CSR activity and advertise with us, which we find these can be put, we can in the credibility variable, we can say.
Okay. And then how much, as you said in the conclusion, that this interactivity with the target audience is happening through these web pages. So on what basis can you say that? What kind of interactivity you could make out is there on the web pages?
Sir, like there is the some radio stations website have the option available post comment. So the listener, apart from listening to the radio station, if they go for the website, so they can comment, post the comment on the programs regarding the RJs or any activities. Videos available on the website, like RJs are taking interview with the celebrities. So the audience can put the comment on that if they are liking it or not, or whatever they want.
And the content which are there on the home pages of these radio stations, whether they are in the text form or in the audio form or in the video form?
Sir, all three. Some radio stations have some text information, some have videos information, and some have put audio program as a podcast. So all radio stations are using these three options, but it depends. Some are using videos most, some are using podcasting the most, and some are using text, and some are using all three options.
Okay. So did you analyze the views which were there of the video content or the comments which were made by the viewers with regard to various things? Did you analyze that as well?
No, not yet, sir. Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It was a very small study. So how 3 persons were involved in the writing this paper?
Sir, we will expand it for sure, sir. We will expand it.
Okay. Thank
we
you.
will put your suggestions also, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I think we have Miduna Manohar, Rashi Mehta, and Dr. Ajit Gagre here.
Yes, ma'am. We are here.
So the next topic is exploring the content marketing strategies of Byju's, a content analysis of Byju's blogs and visual stories. You can start.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, just give us a minute. We'd share the screen and we'd present the PPT and we would start. Ma'am, just give us 2 minutes. It's just internet connection. We're just presenting, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
Right. So, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by thanking Admas University, Kolkata, for providing us the opportunity to present our paper at the international conference. Today, I, Rashi Mehta, will be presenting on behalf of Mithuna Manohar and Dr. Ajit Gagre the paper we wrote exploring the content marketing strategies of Byju's, a content analysis of Byju's blogs and visual stories. So I would start from the literature review. Hello. So I would just like to brief about my paper, which is, I think the pandemic shifted the education, how EdTech was the most important part during pandemic and how Byju's came and, it took over. So from Gurukuls to laptop screens, the teaching and learning process in India has transitioned significantly. Peer learning in schools was suddenly disrupted by COVID, and digital learning has always been around. But it was with this pandemic that the online learning space flourished. The edtech industry saw a shift from leading the race of Byju's. The startup Byju's was actually valued at 22 billion and had a user base of 115 million, according to the Forbes magazine. Apart from the attractive campaigns and advertisements, has managed to create a community through their ideas of changing education sector. So Byju's is an example of it's actually an example of platformization of education. Considering it the infrastructure for digitalization education. Content marketing, when we talk about content marketing is a strategic marketing approach that focuses on creating and distributing valuable, relevant and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, ultimately defining profitable customer acquisitions. Content marketing is a strategic marketing approach that focuses on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content marketing to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. Moving forward with our objectives. So our objectives were to conduct content analysis by Byju's blogs and visual stories published from July 20th to October 22nd, 2022 to analyze the structural composition of the same. For example, we were looking forward to the number of images, number of words, and use of other visuals. Our second objective was to identify the key elements of Byju's content marketing strategy that have contributed to its success in the education market. Speaking about methodology for this study, a quantitative content analysis was used for identifying the trends and uncovering patterns, along with to understand and compare the structural composition. The paper identify the blogs and visual stories posted on the website. For analysis, visual stories posted from, like I mentioned, July 20th to October 22nd were used. A total of 177 visual stories and 124 blogs were identified, and a census study was conducted. Talking about the analysis to understand the patterns and trends in blogs and visual stories, the researchers identified codes and a coding sheet was prepared accordingly. So from a population of 302, 177 visual stories and 124 blogs were bifurcated. Both contents were analyzed separately because of the fundamental differences in the structures. Visual stories are composed of micro content. The visuals were on slides as seen on Instagrams and other social media platforms. As suggested by the name, visual holds much value compared to words, whereas blogs have more written words and visuals, like we know. Moving forward, like we can see that we've actually presented some graphical representations. So the first graph is the depiction in the division between the blogs and visual stories. Like we can see that 58.9% were visual stories and 41.1% were blogs. Like we can also see the second graph talks about the subjects that were covered in these blogs. For example, an interesting observation was made when the subjects in these categories were analyzed. So from a total of 22 blogs in the Did You Know category, 13 blogs covered science related topics, 8 blogs discovered social science, and 1 blog exceptionally discussed math. Right. So the third graphical representation of this subject discussed in visual stories. So here we would like to cite with an example that out of 300 stories, more than half were visual stories. Also, researchers we were able to determine the dominance of science here. For example, during our research, we observed that 50 of 178 visual stories discussed were science and its related subjects. Closely following were the parenting tips with some 42 visual stories dedicated to it. The last graphical representations actually depicts that how there is this representation of number of visual stories each month. Of all the categorized analyzed, visual stories had an erratic uploading pattern. Multiple posts were posted on some occasions. On an average, at least one paper post per day was uploaded. An average of 44 posts per month was calculated from the data. At the end, I think I would like to talk about our findings. So the first and foremost finding was that the research through content analysis reveals the dominance of visual learning and empowerment of science through the numbers. Various other parameters such as the use of images and the type of images, number of slides, words, etc. were found. Use of content marketing strategies spread through the content, concluding building on trust and emotions, were also found. So I would like to thank you for giving us this time.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Saxena, should I ask some questions?
Yeah. Yeah, what was the objective of your study?
Just a second. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what was the objective of your study?
Sir, our objective was basically to do a content analysis of those blogs and visual stories, and due to time constraint we decided not to do a census, and we decided to do it between 20th July to October 22nd.
How much period? What
Sorry,
exactly?
sir?
Kitna period hua from which date to which date you said?
3 months.
Okay. Why 3 months?
So like I said, so like we were working and we had that time constraint. Like we would definitely like to extend our study, but due to time constraint, we decided that this amount of this time period would be suitable for our study.
So, but what exactly is your conclusion? You have written so many things, but I am not able to make out what are your conclusions.
Sorry, sir, your voice is breaking.
I said, what are your conclusions? Can you explain?
Sir, our conclusion, so like I said, I think during our findings, sir, we thought that how during our research, we saw that how dominance of visual learning is actually taking over. Like we are aware that, when this education thing started, people are aware that, people used to go to gurukuls, people used to do things. But during our research, we found out that how Byju's is taking over when it comes to visual learning. And also we noticed that how in all of these blogs, like I mentioned, that there was this dominance of science that we observed. So, sir, when we were going through those numbers and stuff, we actually saw that this every blog post and everything were mostly talking about how science and the related factors were somehow, colliding. And sir, also we focused on the parameters, like I mentioned, that the images, the amount of images they use, the number of slides. I think so. Everything was planned, and how specifically they used to do it for the target audience and stuff like that. Also, we wanted to understand, sir, that how Byju's was using these marketing strategies to attract these audience by these ways and means, like I said, through content, including they actually focus on the building of trust and emotions. Like I said, those were one of these factors.
No, whatever study you conducted, how it's related to the marketing strategies. I mean, how did you do that? That this analysis of the blogs and the visual stories on the website, you studied this, fine. But then how did you relate it to the marketing strategies?
So good afternoon. My name is Midhana. I'm one of the co-authors of this paper, and I would like to answer the question. So we identified certain well-established content marketing strategies, that were already established, like I mentioned. So we identified a couple of papers. For example, there was this one study done by Dukli. She had suggested certain parameters through which content marketing could be identified. And then there was another paper by Anti and Gazdani Fard, who also suggested certain ways from which we derived the trust, empathy, establishment, and other things. So these were the basis of our paper, and that's how we related it to the content marketing strategies.
Okay. But then I didn't find any such thing wherein you are relating to your findings to these marketing strategies. That connection is not found in your study.
Sir, I think maybe we did not manage to get that through our presentation, but we have mentioned it with citation in our paper. But surely, I mean, that makes sense. Maybe we could not get it through our presentation.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, we have our next presenter, Dr. Mahendra Kumar Padi. The topic is Digital Communication, Green Lifestyle and Sustainable Development, a participatory communication approach in the Indian context. Dr. Padi, please start.
Namaskar. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Revered Chairperson, Dr. Saxena, the co-chair and distinguished panelists, participants, fellow participants. This is Dr. Mahendra Kumar Padi. There are some problems resulting. I'm not in a position to insert my pen drive for presentation. So the topic of presentation today I'm having with is on digital communication, green lifestyle, and sustainable development.
Dr. Can you remain in one spot if it's okay, because you're moving and
yes.
If it's okay.
I'm just reaching the department now. It's on the board. Just within a second, I will be reaching the department. So before the commencement of the presentation, I would like to cite the famous quotation of the Nobel laureate, Professor Gunnar Myrdal, who said, "Poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere." In the similar tune, environmental degradation anywhere is a threat to the entire civilization everywhere. These are the two important boss quotations from which we can derive two important things. One is poverty alleviation, poverty. Second one is environmental protection. So these are the two important issues. One is poverty. Second one is environmental protection, environmental degradation. And these two issues are addressed with the help of a common platform. And the platform is popularly known as Sustainable Development, Communication for Sustainable Development. Communication for Sustainable Development. So, yes, communication for sustainable development. Ever since the end of the Second World War, there is a commonly shared concern among the policy makers, the state representatives, and the thinkers and the development planners to how to address the vast ravaged economy with an immediate solution. So, in 1950s, there was a common roundtable conference in Great Britain on which a common consensus developed in the form of industrial revolution, with the help of which the policymakers they wanted to rectify the problems of the Second World War ravaged economy. So, with this, the panacea, the prescriptive ailment in the form of industrial revolution was applied. Since I just got on from the vehicle, I'm little feeling suffocation, so I'm taking little pause in between my pronunciation. Please pardon me. So here, after the industrial revolution, when the industrial revolution was applied and administered to rectify the problems of unemployment, poverty, and malnutrition across the globe, the policy was implemented, and industrial revolution was instituted, resulting majority of the resulting a few hand-picked countries, especially the Western rich nations, they got benefited out of this industrial. They got benefited and they enjoyed the fruits of industrial revolution, neglecting and ignoring the very interests of the third world nations. So, in 1972, a second Club of Rome conference, which was held in Rome, which was popularly known as Club of Rome conference, where the policymakers again sat down to examine and review the progress of industrial revolution. So in that conference, the policymakers, when they discussed and debated the issue, they concluded saying that yes, development was there, but the direction of development was lopsided, resulting, as I already said, some of the Western rich nations, they enjoy the fruits of development, whereas the most of the underdeveloped and the developing countries, they are completely negated and ignored and are almost far away from enjoying the fruits of industrial development out of industrial revolution. So there was a big industrial gap. There was a big gap in the form of knowledge, infrastructure, and the resource generation. And the gap became widening day by day, dividing the entire globe into three important segments. One is developed, underdeveloped, and underdeveloping. Now, in the Club of Rome conference, the policymakers, when they debated, in the process of debating, they somehow concluded saying that yes, development was there, but the direction of development was lopsided, and the result was somehow there was a missing link in the development chain, and the missing link probably would have been communication. So for the first time, the mother of development communication, Nora Quibral, he introduced the concept communication, the role of communication for development, and to just join the developmental chain, join the developmental chain using communication as a missing link, and a new concept emerged in the form of communication for development. Now the concept gained momentum, and today the concept that we are witnessing is in the form of communication for sustainable development. Friends, sustainable development is a development that meets the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Resources are limited, so the demand for resources is unlimited, whereas the supply of resources are limited, creating a big gap between the demand and supply in the form of scarcity. Because resources are scarce in supply, so it demands scientific and efficient application and utilization. Because resources are scarce in supply, so it demands scientific and efficient utilization. So a new concept emerged in the form of sustainable development, where we are saying after using, because resources are limited, the resource demands how efficiently we can utilize the scarce resources so that after satisfying our own requirements, we could be able to save something for our future generation. This is what is sustainable development, that teaches us how efficiently resources can be utilized. But here the punching point is, there are some resources which are renewable and there are some resources which are non-renewable. The resources which are renewable, that can easily and can be used to the maximum possible extent, but the resources which are cannot be renewed, that demands scientific and efficient intelligence. So people needs to have a lifestyle which could be environment friendly, a lifestyle which can teach them how efficiently they can utilize the scarce resources, and they can use them to the maximum possible extent the maximum renewable resources. And it is nothing but communication which plays as an intervening variable, without which the materialization of the objectives of sustainable development cannot be possible. So communication here is acting as a facilitator to make people aware about the use pattern of the resources in the form of, if it is renewable, then they can use the maximum possible extent. If it is not renewable, then they can use the resources in a way which can they can utilize for their own satisfaction, and after satisfying their own needs, they can save something for the future generation. Sustainable development often compared with a coin having two sides with two obligations. One is poverty alleviation, second one is environmental protection. And these two things are addressed from a single platform. That platform is called Communication for Sustainable Development. Here, when we are talking, this is sustainable development. When we are talking about green lifestyle, people need to maintain a lifestyle which is environment friendly, and to make people and to mold their living pattern, to mold their use pattern, it is communication which through creating awareness, enrichment of knowledge, liking, preference, and conviction and motivation for participation can make people understand how efficiently they can use the scarce resources. Now, here, just to make things a little more crystal, I would like to focus now here on digital communication. To the best of my knowledge, when I'm talking about digital communication is almost like a old wine in a new bottle. It's an old wine in a new bottle in a way. Why we're saying it is a old wine in a new bottle? Because the content of communication remains the same. But here, the most important factor, what is important, is the approach of communication and the use of communication. That to the transmission approach of communication. That is the media vehicle. There is a transformation of media vehicle from a traditional form to a digital form. That is what we are now using digital form of communication for a better accessibility and source credibility, which are all useful for making rich the communication content or the message content to the desired audience. Now, just to make the things a little bit more crystal, I would like to give an example, a case study. The case study is a part of a postdoctoral research work that I want to cite.
Come to your findings and analysis, because we're running out of time.
Just can you give me 2 minutes? I just want to say the case study. The case study is very
2-3
important.
minutes. Yeah.
Yes. The case study is very important. The case study is from Uttar Pradesh. Now, the case study is purely is a case study on health communication. Now, the case study centers around in a certain district of Uttar Pradesh. There is a small village which is completely cut off from the mainstream, developmental mainstream. Now, in that particular village, is a small health clinic. There is a small health clinic, and the clinic is assigned to and a doctor is being assigned to the clinic. One day, what happened? A lady from that particular village rushed into the clinic for some immediate medical. She rushed into the clinic along with her ailing baby for some medical prescription, immediate medical prescription. Now, the doctor, after seeing the conditions of the baby, the doctor prescribed the medicine, saying, "Look, this is the medicine. You have to administer the medicine in every 6 hours of duration. You have to administer half a teaspoonful of medicine in every 6 hours of duration." The lady, since hails from a humble background, that from a very remote village, a village which is completely cut off from the developmental mainstream, she has taken the medicine, returned back, and administered the medicine according to her own set of understanding. But unfortunately, what happened? The very next day, the ailing baby was brought to the clinic with a condition almost near collapse. Somehow, the doctor, when has seen the condition, has administered some high dose of medicine, and the situation was somehow controlled. But what exactly went wrong? The doctor, as I told you, the doctor is a trained MBBS doctor. The medicine which was prescribed was perfect, and the diagnosis was perfectly okay. But what exactly went wrong? Despite the best intention of the doctor, the entire effort was of meaningless. Now here, the doctor now as a student of communication, if we make the entire case study contextual to communication, we can say that doctor when he was prescribing the medicine, she was acting as a communicator. When the doctor was acting as a communicator, the fundamental responsibility of a communicator is to identify, or when he communicates, he should design the content of his communication taking into account the socio-economic background of the audience. But the doctor, when he said, look, this is the medicine, you have to administer half a teaspoonful of, the concept of teaspoon that sounded quite foreign to the lady. Number one, the lady didn't have a concept of a teaspoon size, or teaspoon. What exactly is a teaspoon and what exactly is the size of a teaspoon? Because the size of the teaspoon varies from person to person, depending upon the taste, preference, and habit. Secondly, when the doctor prescribed, you have to administer the medicine in every 6 hours of duration. The doctor failed in communicating as a communicator, ignoring the economic condition of the lady. Because when he said you have to administer the medicine in every 6 hours of duration, to segment 1 6 hour from another 6 hour, the lady needs to have a watch at her disposal. But because the lady hailed from a very humble background, that to a very remote village where the majority of the population are living below poverty line and that they are deprived of having square meal a day, for them having a watch at their disposal sounds very quite luxury. So these are the two important reasons.
Dr. Padi, I have to request you to kindly conclude.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So, despite the best of intentions, doctor, because he failed as a communicator, addressing the problems from the viewpoint of socio-economic background of the audience. So here there was a communication gap, resulting the baby brought to the clinic near collapse. Now here the entire episode, now the entire paper rests on three important objectives. Number one is to study the implications of sustainable communication for sustainable development. Second, to examine the developmental programs initiated by the government for poverty alleviation and environmental protection. Third one is to study, to examine the media habits of the population. Now, the theoretical background, the theoretical framework of the paper rests on three important theories. One is the limits to growth theory by Professor Meadows. Second one is the cognitive dissonance theory. The third one is cultivation theories. Now, the conclusion is of number one conclusion. For better, the first one is the communication. The role of communication is very pivotal because it acts as a facilitator for maintaining development sustainability because of its rich accessibility, credibility, and motivational content and persuasive effect. Second one is while examining the developmental programs initiated by the government, the researcher found out that the government, when has initiated developmental programs of poverty alleviation and environmental protection, the beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries with the focal universe of the study, and when they were examined, it was found out that the beneficiaries, those who are benefited from the developmental programs which were initiated by the government, the finances, there was a positive, and there is a positive enhancement in the economic, social and economic standard of living. And the third one is the media habits, especially because the case study area is a very remote area that it was cut off from the developmental mainstream. In that particular village, still thinking of digital communication is almost a misnomer, is a daydream. So till date, folk media, it plays a very significant role because of its access and accessibility among the population of the particular village. Thank you very much, ma'am. Because of this positive time, and since I just now got up from the vehicle, I was a little bit succumbed to and feel suffocated. So there was a little bit of some gaps that even I feel. So thank you very much.
It's okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Saxena?
Yeah. Dr. Pandey, can you tell me in one sentence, what is the finding of your study? In one sentence only. Hello.
As I already said, the paper examined the role of communication for sustainable development. So development needs to be sustained if communication can successfully act as a facilitator. So to make communication act as a facilitator, we have to design a communication strategy, and the paper is in process of designing an effective communication strategy for maintaining sustainable development.
Okay, thank you.
Namaskar, sir.
With that, I think our session, we don't have any more presenters. Dr. Saxena, would you like to say a few things on the whole session?
Yeah. There were 5 presentations, yeah, 6 presentations, in this session. And though I have been asking questions to the presenters then and there, but what finally comes out from this session, one, then that most of the researchers and the presenters, they had a lot of confusion with regard to research methodologies, with regard to the objectives of the study, and with regards to their findings. So that was one, I mean, at least in the first presentation of Sakshi Verma, that was a serious problem. In Mahira Imam's also, that was a very, I mean, I would say not properly researched and not properly presented papers. Seema Johnson was comparatively a better study, though there were certain problems like the whole span of the study was very large, starting from 1927 to 2023. So what I believe that such a large span is difficult to be covered in a paper, a small paper. Maybe that could have been a bigger study and only a part of that was presented here. Then again, there's a 4th paper, which was Pankaj Garg and Gitanjali Kalia paper. This was, I mean, one thing was important in this study, that the whole topic was very innovative. And it was not a very routine kind of thing, but then the websites of the radio, private FM radio stations were, the contents were analyzed. Contents were, I mean, the websites were looked into for so many aspects, right from credibility, consistency and all. But then what I discovered that the contents actually were not analyzed properly. In the 5th paper, that was this marketing strategies of Byju's. So this whole approach was good in this study, wherein the blogs and the visual stories were analyzed. But how these the contents of these blogs and the visual stories, they were analyzed, but how this was related to actually serving the marketing strategies, that I couldn't find is finding a relation in the study. And in the last one, Dr. Mahendra Kumar Padi's study was good, obviously, with regard to the approach, with regard to the topic that was decided from sustainable development and finding a participatory communication approach. But I couldn't exactly make out what was the study and what was being attempted, for the reason that everything was so complex. It was not comprehensible the way it should have been. Might be the study would have been of quality, but the presentation was not up to the mark, and that is how there's a lot of confusion were there. And I believe those who are there in the session, they also would have found it difficult to understand the real conclusion of this story. So I think the participation, but then the participatory aspect is always important as compared to what all has been done, because in a conference, the important thing is how do you present your research, and obviously the another part, which is the underlying thing, then the study should be conducted on the right lines, following the basics of the research and the research methodologies. So that way, the studies were lacking, but all in all, it was a great effort, and it was a combination of so many things. If we look into the topics, the range of the topics which were covered, right from cyber violence to the emotional and psychological well-being during COVID-19. And then the radio was also covered, cinema was also covered, development was also covered. So the topics were diverse, and I appreciate all the efforts which were made by the presenters in this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for all the tips also. I think our presenters will take them into consideration and they will definitely improve in their future presentations. Now I would like to pass it on to Durgeshwari. I think she will have the last word for the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Saxena and Dr. Ellen Bam. We really appreciate your insights. And yes, before concluding the session, I would ask all the authors to switch on their camera so that I can have a snap of the session. Please, everyone, on your camera. Dr. Padhyay, sir.
Even Novina is not there on camera.
Hello, sir. Actually, hello. Yeah, can you hear me? My network got immediately dropped. So, can you hear me?
Dr. Sheena John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mahira ma'am, are you there? Can you on your camera so that thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Sheena Johnson, are you there? Okay. So yeah, I'll be taking a snap and I'll let you know immediately. Yeah. Thank you. And now, in conclusion, yes, there were many amazing studies on digital media, which should be addressed, and we are really glad to Dr. Ambrish Saxena and Dr. Natasha ma'am to be joining this session. And yeah, I would really like to thank our chief patron, Professor Dr. Samit Rai, Chancellor of Admas University, Professor Dr. Naveen Das, Vice Chancellor of Admas University, Professor Dr. Dipankar Bhattacharya, Pro Vice Chancellor of Admas University, and co-patron Professor Dr. Shashant Kumar Mondal. Along with that, I would really like to appreciate the conference convener, Dr. Sharmila Kayal ma'am, Associate Professor of SONC, School of Media and Communication, Admas University, and also the co-convener for this conference, Ms. Nubina Chakravarti, Associate Professor of School of Media and Communication, Admas University, along with that, Mr. Shaikh Pal, Associate Professor of School of Media and Communication, Admas University. Thank you so much for your time and the papers and the presentation, and we really appreciate the insights that we have got from Ambrish sir. We really appreciate it, and thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambrish sir and Ms. Natasha. We are really glad to have you, and I hope the association will move on and go on all the time.
Definitely,
so
yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you for
being
involving
with me.
us. Yes.
Thank you. Ambrish sir, you were just like guardian. You are with us. So since morning, yesterday morning to evening. So we consider you just like a guardian. So that's why. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.